Hello everyone and welcome back. It's Mystic Juicer here with some more Yomi action. Today, thanks to Deluks for alerting me that this match was happening. So this is going to be Bob numbers versus Deluks numbers in Topanda League action. So Topanda being the invitational set up by Animus, basically put out the call, selected what he felt were the strongest players in the online community and pit them head-to-head against each other in a round robin that's going to split to, I think, yeah, there's 13 participants, and I think 6 people move on to continue into next season, and also to play to a kind of playoff, and everyone else gets eliminated and is replaced by a new batch of players. And just to give you a sense of the ridiculous level of competition in this event, Deluks is currently 5-1. He's tied with 5ek, Riker. So 5ek and Riker and Deluks are all tied for first place with a 5-1 record each. And Bob199, who is no slouch by any definition of the word, is in 12th place currently with a 2-6 record. So just to give you a sense of how stacked this tournament is. Other notable participants, Leontes has a 3-5 record currently. Hartley and Mad King are sitting at 2-5 and 2-4 respectively. So this tournament is no joke. It is terrifying to be out there with the Sharks. So should be some fireworks. We'll see if Bob can improve his record a little bit. And here we go. The show is on the road. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. So there we see the Troc picked against kind of the two main prongs of Bob's arsenal, and Bob switching to a character who gives the bull quite a bit of trouble. Although we will probably see Deluks switch to De Grey after this match if he does take the loss. So Bob. It's Bob opening up with an A. Effective against... so in the early game, Onimaru is really going to play a... essentially an ace, queen, and high normal mix-up. He's going to play some form of aggressive... Ooh! And Deluks nicely navigating these opening two aces. Yeah, not the best of starts here for Bob. He still definitely has the tools to make this happen. Not expecting that Deluks would immediately play defensive. Typically, well, I mean, part of that mix-up is that your opponent, Onimaru's opponent, is going to play. Ooh, yeah, getting the short end of a couple of exchanges here. Is Bob. Luckily, Onimaru definitely has high enough health to be able to absorb some of those king throws with his face. So Deluks nicely navigating the opening turns of this game, setting himself up nicely with essentially 9 cards in hand. And here come the pokes. Ooh. Really, really unfortunate. Now the aces are gone. There's less likelihood that Bob is going to poke with something quick. And he gets undercut with a 4 attack. Again, 33 health deficit. Still can be made up very, very quickly. Bob just has to kind of settle into figuring out what Deluxe's range is here. We've seen 2 immediate blocks. I think aggression is still very strong from Deluks. Yeah. Making the call that Bob doesn't really have a button that he's willing to press right now. He's playing a very aggressive attack throw range. Attacks to poke out the high normals that Bob probably has. And now making Beast Unleashed real. Bob already at 47 health. Yeah, calling out the fact. Yeah, this is not. He does not want to take this damage to the face, though, if he can help it. Good, brave block. Very, very brave block. Uh-oh. Yeah, playing the slow side of that jack to get a bit more chip in, and now he's in the mix-up. The juice father. I guess I am old. Oh, damn. Good block. Nice. Yeah, Bob willing to give it to him for free if he's willing to throw 3 aces at Onimaru. Deluks content with a 95 health lead to play all the dodges that he may have, just in case he can get it for very low risk. Ooh. Yep, 8 attack coming out to beat that pesky... to beat the pesky raw... Oh. To beat the pesky raw super throw. Unfortunately gets poked up by a 5. Ugh. It's not 45, but it is 27 damage off of a 5 attack. Not bad at all. Yeah, I would recommend that as a strategy, Bob. Definitely maybe put your gloves on him. So Bob has to decide basically how he wants to die here. He's now lethal to just normal throw. Which, good thing for Deluks, because he has used up 2 of those aces. There we go. Gets the 5 in. Onimaru's 5, very nice if your opponent is playing the range that Deluks was playing very early in this set. Once Deluks transitions to playing queens and jacks, far less effective a card. And Trock very happy to play queens and jacks. Those are very good moves for him. He has no bad face cards, so... but the 5 attack at least covers a couple of different options. Nice! Playing around the queen now. Bob has cards in hand. This is going to bring him down, especially if he has a 10 or an 8 that he's going to throw into this. This is going to bring him down to 7 or 8 on the draw. Okay, lands the 20 damage. Evening things up now, still has a way to go. Unfortunately for him, the thing that really unlocks the burst damage for Onimaru are the 2 aces he already has in the discard. So very unlikely that he's going to be able to really flash through that 60 health. He's going to have to deal that about 20 damage at a time. Nicely undercuts a 6 now too. Deluks playing a bit greedy, a bit aggressive to try to close things out. Nicely sticks the 5 attack in there. Still, yeah, here come the war stomps. Deluks, he has no real reason to panic at this point. He's still got 45 health. He can still going to take at least, probably it's going to take at least 3 combats to kill him, whereas he just has to get one throw combat with anything to back it up. And of course, any normal into a jack or queen. I think queen might be an ender. Yeah, 2-point ender. So high normal into 9 damage. Okay, Bob wakes up with queen. Elects not to final authority, even if he does have it. Probably want to conserve those for the game-winning combat. Deluks now about halfway through his deck, so could have either of the two unplayed jokers in hand. Bob also approaching the halfway point, so could have much higher health than that would indicate. Unfortunately, all of Trock's face cards cannot be joker. There's no way to follow them up. And at this point, Queen is lethal, the slow side of Jack is lethal, Eagle Totem is also lethal. So tense moment here. Bob's still in a disadvantaged position, definitely, and gets snagged with a 2-throw. He did manage to at least deny the perfect, and tried to make a game of that. Nearly got there. He was two combat wins away from making that his game. Unfortunately for him, Deluks does close it out. Nicely played from both sides. Deluks especially really nicely navigating that opening and taking the win against the Trock counterpick here. So we'll see if... so Bob has rematched. Deluks must play Trock again. Bob has the option of switching, so we could see... Okay, electing to stay as Onimaru. Unfortunate opening last time, so we see, again, so he's in this pincer position. He can play high normals. Ooh. Fortunately, those aces just not working out for him right now. They're very effective if Onimaru can attach them in the early game. This is why we're seeing them almost immediately. The earlier you can attach them, the longer you can threaten and play the will I, won't I dance of actually revealing. And again, we see 2 aces come out first 2 turns. And Deluks just happily navigating that particular move. And I think so the reason that just to talk a little bit about this matchup, the reason that Bob has elected to play Onimaru, so first of all, very effective character against Geiger, and also particularly effective against Trock, and the reason for that is his attacks, he has an 8 and a 10 attack which beat blocks that are of the same or lower rank, and Trock, oh, nice, catches a throw with that. Doesn't deal extra damage, but it's twice as satisfying to hit a throw with a 10 attack. And Trock only has blocks up to 8, so both Onimaru's 10 and 8 attack will cleave right through any block that's revealed when he plays them. And the other thing is that even if Deluks wanted to hang on to, for instance, this 7 block, if it blocks something, if it blocks a 5 attack, a 6 attack, a 3 attack, a 4 attack, or a face card, that block disappears. So Trock can be very quickly put in a situation where he simply has no defensive option against any kind of high normal attack from Onimaru. And that's particularly difficult to deal with. It's also very scary to try to throw Onimaru, although Deluks is nicely navigating it. What people don't realize is you actually feel, you can feel quite uncomfortable as Onimaru with a small hand. He's actually quite card greedy. His dodges are going to eat 3 cards at a time on a successful dodge. And his final authority is going to eat either 3 or more cards, depending if it's a final authority, a queen, or a jack would be 4, or a king would be however many other kings you can attach to it. So, oh, Ace just continuing to lose combat here. Deluks has nicely shifted. Deluks is nice. We are. Don't worry. I've got my notepad right to the side here. That's brutal. He may have to dodge into kings at this point. But yeah, Deluks has played a really, really nice early game again. Okay, Bob electing to wake up with a 4. Deluks noticing that was happening last time and countering with a dodge. We could see Beast Unleashed come out here. People often like to bluff on the first dodge after Beast Unleashed is revealed. In this case, it was real. The length of time that he took to think about that does make me think that he may actually have Beast Unleashed. Two dodges have come out so far. So he still has 6 left in the deck. Okay, good 8 block. Indicates he does not have another dodge, as there's really no reason to play a block there if you do have a dodge in hand. Okay, now making Beast Unleashed real. So that block... So here's the issue is that... So that block we now know had no Beast Unleashed behind it. So it could in fact have been an attempt to get a few more cards in hand to complete a 3 of a kind in order to get those aces. But it also could have been a cover for the dodge coming out now, when it is perhaps less expected after that block. Although I don't think you can assign that any probability that he doesn't have the dodge at this point. And nicely 4 pokes out the 45 damage to the face. This is going to be very, very nice for Bob. He sort of resets. He resets Trock's giant growth counter. Gets himself a small life advantage. Again, reduces Trock's damage quite nicely. Up to 6 damage per additional damage per combat. Trock remains with 8 cards in hand. 2 of those attached blocks that he returned to his hand are an 8 and a 7, so he has those high normal blocks. Ooh, nice. Onimaru with the 0.4 normals, just getting under that 6 attack. Yeah, the 6 attack losing very hard to both blocks that Deluks had in hand, which made Deluks think, okay, he's going to come for those 7s and 8s with an 8 or a 10 attack. So I'm just going to poke that out with a cheeky 6. Probably has a 7 and 8. Yeah, he has the 7 and 8 to complete the straight, so definitely has the damage to back that up. And now Bob extending his life lead, going up 40 overall. Now Deluks has to try to worm his way back into this match. Ooh. This is okay, just content to take the trade. Yeah, totally fair. If you have 1 or 2, yeah, maybe 1 final authority in hand, not a bad idea not to play it there to guarantee a combat win, because you know, you're with your opponent at 14, you at 55, you're already winning that combat. You don't need to also knock him down. Yeah, discarding an 8. He no longer needs that 8 for pressure. He's now in a range where any of his throws are very effective too. Yeah, wakes up with a queen. Just going to deal 10 damage, doesn't take any kind of knockdown. Probably has another face card in hand, or wants to threaten the fact that he has another face card in hand, which he can final authority for a guaranteed combat win against any non-block, non-dodge. Deluks sitting at 4 health. Yeah, plays the Joker to stay in the game. There's no blue bursting here. Gets 2 aces in hand, so he can, so that he has something to put behind a dodge. This could be a place for a very good block. Okay, yeah, went for the dodge instead. Just needs to deal damage now. The dodge there was meant to catch a Final Authority backed face card from Bob. And Bob playing against the ace-ace dodge mix-up with his own dodge, so very defensive, very safe plays from both of them. Bob is in no position to be really threatened by any kind of combat loss off a throw, so perfectly happy to spend a lot of dodges here. Yeah, the reads, the download from game 1 is clearly, I don't know, it's probably out of date. It's probably, like, it operates on the same principles as WinRAR. Okay, here we go. What's it gonna be? Okay, gives him the Beast Unleashed. No Joker in hand, gives him the GG. That was gonna be, even if he had the Joker, the second Joker, that was gonna be a really, really long road back into a win. So well played, Bob. He gets the win, but he has now gone, he's only gone he's gone even in what is considered a very heavily advantaged matchup for him. And the thing about Onimaru is that he has two incredibly difficult matchups. And that's one versus Dugray, who gets around, and both of them are essentially because they can get around his innate. They can essentially remove his special ability from the game just because of the way that they play. Both of them have a defensive option, so Argarg and Dugray both have a defensive option on their ace. Dugray has an ace dodge, so that's going to be all of the attacks anyway, and it's going to allow him to deal damage at the same time. And Argarg is very similar. His ace block, and good throw here, immediately throwing that ace block. His ace block is going to beat every single attack, no matter if it's a 10 attack, an 8 attack, doesn't matter. It's going to beat all that. And then it puts him in Onimaru in a position where he kind of has to win combat, not deal on a turn that he's not going to deal damage because of bubble shields, the way bubble shield works, and which is very awkward. And it can put him. Argar has this ability to put Onimaru in a position where, because Onimaru cannot knock down except by using his Final Authority, that he's always on the clock. He never gets any rest from Argarg's innate, and he can play this. Eventually, he can play this incredibly high block range. He can almost block 100% of the time, depending on certain game states, depending on how many throws Onimaru has played. So we see Deluks. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I like this range that Deluks is playing in the early game. Good Joker there. He only technically prevents 1 damage, but the important thing is he prevents the ace from activating. And the aces are really what Bob needs, what Onimaru needs, in order to deal enough damage off of a dodge to make the dodge really worth it and accelerate the game to the pace that he needs to get there. So here we see Deluks getting that ace block off. And now we're going to have to see Bob spend some kind of resource. So here's the thing. So Argarg can now block for 100%, like no risk whatsoever. The other thing too is if he can poke out throws in this position, he can put Onimaru in a place where any throw, like the more throws he can get rid of in this position. Oh, and that's a particularly bad combat loss. So the more he can do that, the more he can reduce the amount of throws that Onimaru even has access to, the more he's going to be set up in the late game where he can just block 100% of the time with ace block. Doesn't have to play any other card. Because even if, oh man, so that's seven aces played, no successful win. Ugh. Yeah, so live the dream, Bob. So the other reason that this is such a nightmare matchup for Onimaru is that even if he successfully throws Argagarg, he needs to pump with the cards in his hand to be able to deal any kind of damage, to be able to actually convert that into, like, to even win combat. He doesn't just have to successfully throw, but he has to successfully pump that throw. Haven't been willing to play those attacks. Not often enough. Although, I mean, he So Deluks actually pointing out the fact that he's been willing to throw, but he's only been throwing with sevens. That is the only throw he's willing to risk. Onimaru actually has a very fast throw speeds, 0.2 speed, and he has them on 7 and his 8. And unfortunately, all of these, every combat win has +4 damage because of Bubble Shield being activated. And he's not even playing to win at this point, he's just playing for the chance to be able to play. Because if he ever wins combat again, which is, not looking great, I wouldn't necessarily take those odds, it's not going to deal any damage. He's just going to spend a card. Yeah, dodge very, very safe in that position. Bob probably, I mean, the calculation on Deluxe's end is he's probably going to play a 5 attack if he's going to attack, just to cover against the possibility of mix-up normal. Okay, but again, I mean, look at how bad that combat win is for Onimaru. He spent his 10 throw, which in this matchup he almost, yeah, this is so here we're in a position where Argagarg can ace block 100% of the time and he can't lose, because it only loses to throws don't knock down, and you've only got 4 turns, so there's just no way around it. Now, on the other hand, he only has 3 cards in hand. There we go. Sinks another 7, and that's it. So the reason he played that 9 was just to try to get the ace block out. On 4 cards, though, it's entirely possible he just didn't have an ace block, and was unwilling to risk blocking with something that would lose to a 10. Because then you might actually have enough time as Onimaru. If, say you draw the other 2 10s maybe in your deck, that's 40 damage if you can land them. They also don't reduce his hand size enough to the point where you can get anything going there. So sorry, losing to a 10 attack from Onimaru does not reduce his hand size to the point where he runs out of fuel. So the 7th throw there, I mean, it was very nice that he happened to draw another dominant throw against what Bob needed to play in order to make that even attempt to try to win that game. But that was essentially closed out no matter what happened. Very, very small sliver of a chance that Onimaru would have been able to make anything happen in 5 turns. So Deluks has... No, we're waiting on Deluks to rematch. So Deluks goes up 2-1. Bob switching... Oh, okay, switching to Gloria. So this is a very, very difficult match for Argagarg. Argagarg relies a lot on out-of-combat damage, while Gloria deals just way more out-of-combat damage. Gloria also has access to attacks and just abilities in general, her innate, allowing her to heal. So that 2 damage a turn that Argagarg deals is basically negated if every second turn even Bob is able to heal. She has very strong combat options that are 2.2 speed, and there's the overdose. So overdose after every combat win. So after every combat she can play in a single ace, deal 10 damage to herself first and then to her opponent. And if she won combat on the turn that she uses it, she draws 2 cards. So she can play dodges very effectively. She has very strong post-dodge reveals in her king and her jack. Okay, goes for the mix-up normal, notably playing as many hearts as possible, because hearts are cards that she can recur. Yeah, that ace was actually the ace of clubs. Started off with the ace of clubs in hand. Now has powered up for the ace of hearts, so that ace of hearts will be with her for the rest of the game. Okay, continuing to play very defensively. Not willing to take too many risks here. Argagarg really has to essentially stick his neck out in order to punish these dodges. Ooh, hoping to catch a counter throw. Instead, takes 9 to the face. So that's the tricky bit with Gloria, is that she actually has to... she has to navigate, because her ability moves both players to the late game fairly evenly. She has to find some means of gaining an advantage. She has to win combat just enough to pull ahead in the life lead, and then possibly set up some sort of checkmate scenario. Essentially, any kind of position where she can even take a combat loss if her opponent is at 10 life or less, so long as she has a joker in hand and won't be brought down to 10 life or less herself. She can play that ace after combat has been combat is over and win the game. So getting the 7th throw again poked out. Deluks not willing to allow himself to be thrown. And this looking very good for Deluks at this moment. He's up 30 health in a very difficult matchup. So Bob continuing to power up for the 7 throw and dodge. Having gotten that card, he has access to, even though her throw is 0.8 speed, so is Arg's. So if it does meet another throw, the worst that happens... Oh no! Oh my goodness. Deluks very nicely cueing into Bob's rhythm here. We're seeing the rule of 3s in action, I think. He has now been... He's shown himself willing to throw, immediately after powering up for the 7th throw. Twice. And then the 3rd time, Deluks decided, I think probably you're not going to be willing to stick your face into another poke. So I'm just gonna play this ace to see what happens. Nicely done. So now Gloria is in a position where she needs to... Now, luckily for her, she can heal 4 damage a turn, which is exactly how much the enhanced Hex of Mirkwood does. Has to decide whether whether Bob is going to recur the Jack or the 7th throw. Opts for the Jack. I think if I'm Bob here and I have a throw, I'm probably going to play it. Oh, nice! Deluks possibly hedging against that possibility. Playing a throw of his own. And the reason I say that is, again, we've seen Bob power up for the option and then play it raw twice, and it hasn't worked out. So now he's switched his pattern slightly. He's picked up the Jack again, and then immediately played the Jack. So playing counter to typical expectation. I'm surprised he did not buy back the Jack in order to get the free heal. I suppose he's happy to sit at 25. I think that's it's just a little outside. Yeah, that's outside of Arg's potential lethal damage. Okay, he has 1 ace, possibly 2 aces in hand. Ooh! Gets the 7th throw poked out. It's not looking good for him. Oh, yeah. He's now in a position where he cannot overdose lest he kill himself. He has to find a bit more health in order to be able to play the aces at all for their ability. Again picks up the 7 of hearts. So what was the pattern? He picked up the Jack and played the Jack. Picked up a Jack and threw. So he's broken the rule of 3s. So Deluks now has to navigate whatever the new pattern is. Maybe it's a 50-50. Okay, very nice combat win for him. Notably playing the fast side, which trades with any 2.2 speed attacks played by Deluks. Ooh. So we see the recursion countered. So that Jack is going to disappear. 3 Jacks now in the discard. That's a very unfortunate place for them to be, because those represent ways that Gloria can accelerate the amount of healing that she can do. So ordinarily every turn she's going to have an opportunity to play the ace, she's going to have an opportunity to discard 2 non-hearts to get a hearts card from her discard and gain 4 life. But if she plays Jacks and returns them to hand, she can heal more than this. She can heal another 4 health every time she returns a Jack to hand. So very nice counters there. I've seen 2 counters yet played. We still have queens in the deck. Good combat win here. Unfortunately, cannot overdose off of this. But this is going to put 3 confirmed aces in hand. So we've got access to Gloria's 0.6 speed triple ace starter that deals 29 damage. A very scary move. The only issue is that Arg still has the dominant move in the matchup. His 2 ace attack is 0.2 speed. No, we actually see him discard 1 of the aces in order to get a heal and a Jack back. So this is not going to be triple ace into Jack into overdose for incredible damage. Could have potentially, if he could have hit Sun and Moon with another ace in hand. Nice throw. Okay, this is probably going to lead into 2 aces for the linker. Potentially you don't follow this up at all. Yeah. So this is going to be returned to hand, I'm almost certain. Yeah, here we go. You definitely... 14 health does more for you than putting Arg at 4 more health. Okay, powering up the other ace to put the 7.8 speed throw and put himself up to 16. So is now potentially in a position where he can start playing overdoses after combat wins, although it is going to put him in a position where he has to be right every combat. Although he's already basically in that position. There's very few things that Arg can do here that aren't going to lead to a position where a combat win for Arg is not going to lead for lethal. Assuming he doesn't get an ace block attached. But even that is so bad, you really, really don't want that to happen. Okay, plays the jack, is willing to play the jack into potential ace. With 6 cards on block on that combat reveal. Unlikely that the other ace is in hand. Although we've got 3 aces swimming around somewhere out there. Blowfish Spikes is always a possibility. Nice queen. Is willing to die to Blowfish Spikes. Probably has to pump this. Okay. Either unwilling or unable. Not sure if it's... Yeah, depending on the cards in his hand, maybe in a position where he needs to overdose. Chooses not to. Very few kings played, just the one. Has not been in a position where he's able to... Nice! Undercutting the... He's getting the combat wins he needs here. Unfortunately, when you don't pump that, and you can't overdose after it, it's just 6 damage. So, bit of a grind here for Gloria. Arg sitting on 8 cards. Possible that we're not seeing any ace blocks because he's waiting for 2 aces to accumulate so that he can just win combat, or just play to win. Just play for lethal. Yeah, continuous queens here. Definitely a trade in Argagarg's favor, because he has to heal on this turn or he is dead. Yeah, concedes. Just shy of making it a game. Yeah. No heal in hand. Unfortunate, so... yeah. So, Bob gets another shot at this. He can choose to remain as Gloria. Deluks has played really, really nicely in 2 advantage matchups and has taken games in both of them. Once as Trock against Onimaru and now as Argagarg versus Gloria. Just goes to show how strong a player Deluks is. Bob having a long, hard think. Whatever character he chooses to switch to or remain, he is going to have to play out the rest of the set. So if he wins this next match, he's not going to be able to counterpick. Any other additional win by Deluks is going to end the set. It's 1st to 4. If he does take the win, he has to win 2 before Deluks wins 1. So difficult run back here, but definitely possible for a player of Bob's caliber. Lum, another character with throws that don't knock down and that need to be pumped several times for them to be effective. So Bob thinking about this. I think it's a tough call. I'm not familiar enough with all of the members of the cast and their various matchups to say if there's a character. Like, ideally, you probably want to pick a character now rather than one that counterpicks Argagarg as hard as possible. You want to pick a character that has just very, very even matchups across the board. The prototypical example of that character is Grave, but Grave Argagarg happens to be one of those matchups that Grave has a bit more difficulty with than some other members of the cast. So Bob is setting himself up here. He may be considering switching to Grave, but then he's probably going to have to play Grave Argagarg. Like if he switches to Grave, what he's essentially saying is, I think I can win at a disadvantaged matchup with Grave 3 times before Deluxe wins once. Okay, so that was probably lag rather than any kind of indecision, so we'll see what happens when he comes back. Shoutouts to anybody who gets that reference. Let's see, in the meantime, see what characters he could pick based on Deluxe's Argagarg performance. Assuming my sheet loads before Bob returns. So yeah, really impressed with Deluxe's play. The fact that he's gone even in 2 disadvantaged matchups. Or has gone more than even, I should say. He hasn't yet taken a loss in Gloria versus Argagarg. Okay, so Bob has returned to us. Possible that he's still dealing with some lag on his end. Okay, switches to DeGray. I think that's a fine pick. Trying to think of what, whether DeGray even has really, really bad matchups. Nothing immediately comes to mind, to be honest. I know the grapplers, with the exception of Adori, probably deal okay with him. CPAT being mean. So opening throw into Jack there. The 7th throw just meant to punish any kind of potential 10, 9, or 8 throw. Immediately powering up for 2 aces in hand. He's put himself at 4 cards, so again, Arg, because so much of his damage comes turn by turn from his innate, especially if he has an ace attached, he doesn't really have to play to build a hand very hard. He just really kind of has to play to win combat. Not get knocked down too often. Okay. Goes to the ace block place. Making a call that blocking against a potential non-ace dodge from DeGray is perfectly fine with him. Ooh. Lands the aces. Goes down to 4 cards in hand. Okay, 3 cards in hand with an ace. Okay, Bob blocking some. Just gonna have a look and see what this looks like for him. So, Delux's Argagarg has not played any degrays as far as I have recorded anything in the matchup sheet. Nice throw. So let's take a second and just look at what this matchup looks like historically. Now, this isn't going to tell us much, again, about what these two players, like what this matchup is like for these two players, but it will give us a slight kind of insight into where the advantage lies here. Notably, this matchup was recently played between Merciful Fate and Hydro in Best of the Rest. It went the distance. Ooh, that 2.4 speed jack just undercutting. Yeah, basically, all of Argagarg's face cards at this point, except for the king, are going to contend very nicely with any kind of aggressive option that comes out of Bob. Nice! Actually plays the attack side first. So he's going to be able to build a bit more hand out of this. The only thing he can really follow this up with is king, ace-ace, or jack. De Grey notably does not have any linkers. Okay. Now makes ace dodge real. Also has the potential to play around arbiter. So historically, Argagarg versus De Grey is fairly even, slight advantage Argagarg historically. But again, that includes a lot of results from a lot of players at a lot of different skill levels. So it may not give us any kind of real information about the way this particular matchup is going to be playing out. So we saw a dodge into knockdown, gets around a raw pile bunker. Ooh, throws into a big Argagarg 5. Do we see king? No, just queen. Bob definitely gonna have to make some magic happen to get back in this. Argagarg is at so few cards. He's just playing, again, he's just playing to win combat. And it turns out Deluks is pretty good at winning combat. Bob is not going to see any help for moral high ground. No additional damage based on card differential. Because Deluks has gone very, very low hand very rapidly in this set. So the advantage, if Bob can find an advantage here, it's going to be by exploiting the possible weakness of the hand that Argagarg is stuck on. I believe there is still an ace block. Yeah, still an ace block in Delux's hand that he is using to tempt throws out of Bob with. Ooh. This is practically game now. Bob essentially has to knock down off of every single combat. Okay, no follow-up on that 8. There was no face down, so that was a voluntary no follow-up. Now, does Bob believe that's because there was no possible follow-up to be had in his hand? If Deluks has managed to find another ace, it would be incredibly rude to play ace-ace here, as everything except an actual block it's going to be lethal against. Okay, Bob wakes up with aces of his own, evening the life total up just slightly. Has to find 30 damage before Argagarg can count down 6 turns with even combat losses. Tense moment here. He's fighting for his life in this set. Again, with that low hand count and with a single ace in hand, he's always going to have to be thinking twice about revealing an attack. Deluks counting on that fact, hoping he was going to play anything but. Gets a king in. Bob crawling his way back into this match. 20 damage is very doable for de Grey. Throw into king is not going to quite do it. Throw into 6 and jack. Gets a little closer. Okay, blocks once. Any throw, if Argagard lands a throw, it's lethal. Doesn't have to follow it up at all. Okay, Bob putting the pressure on. Very unlikely that Deluks has enough damage to actually play an attack here and successfully put Bob in a bad place. To actually cut through that additional 12 health. So Bob has to think about whether he actually is going to make the point-counterpoint real here. He does. We almost certainly see the attack side come out first. Oh no, what am I saying? Even if he does, he only goes to 3 cards, so there's no way that he gets any moral high ground help. Deep in the think tank, it's all going to come down to this. Okay, I was right, even though this isn't going to do anything more than just playing it that way, yeah? So does sink the throw. Face down here. Ooh, this could be a bluff. Was real! Wow. Okay, okay. That is 1 joker. 12 health for Argagard, 8 for de Grey. Yeah, this is badass. He's got the knockdown. He needs to find 12 damage. There's still an ace in that hand. Oh, too bad. Gets hit with the queen. That's going to finish the set. Deluks, nicely played. Good stuff from both players. Well played. Very clean matches. And there we have it. So another exciting match in TOPANDA League. Thank you everybody for watching. If you'd like to join us online, fantasystrike.com, you can make a profile. You get to play the rotating free character as much as you like. 10 characters for 15 bucks. There will be a link to the store, the online, the browser edition store that you can go to in the description below. It's also available through Steam, so head on to the Steam store. Again, 15 bucks for 10 characters. 20 character cast. It's great fun. Come join us online. Come be part of the action. And I'm going to call it there. So thanks everybody for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and enjoy yourself some Yomi.